Hi, my name is William Chung, and the policy I have chosen to analyze is H.R. 40, which is also known as the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. H.R. 40's three main goals are to identify the extent of federal and state governments in promoting the institution of slavery, types of discrimination against free slaves and their descendants, and persisting consequences of slavery today. This bill is currently being championed by Ms. Jackson Lee along with 23 other people in the House of Representatives. America was built on slave labor, and slaves were subject to inhumane treatments for almost 250 years. Even after abolition, black people continue to suffer under Jim Crow laws, black codes, and many other injustices. It goes without saying that the H.R. 40 reparations is very much needed. However, H.R. 40 is more than just compensation for past injustices. It is a step towards a national reckoning of a new America that recognizes the ongoing consequences of centuries of discrimination against black people. It is also part of a greater effort to tackle institutionalized racism in the United States. Although no amount of money could ever make up for the inhumanity of slavery in the U.S., anthropologist Jason Hickel estimated that the U.S. benefited from about 220 million hours of forced labor between 1619 to 1865. Based on minimum wage plus some interest, the labor hours would be valued at $97 trillion today. Meanwhile, some economists hypothesize that the federal government would have to spend at least $10 to $12 trillion to make any significant impact in reducing the wealth gap between black and white people. Since H.R. 40 is a bill to create a commission to determine what these reparations for slavery should be, these decisions have not been made yet. However, there have been many suggestions such as a cash payout, social program, land resources, or even baby bonds. Baby bonds would be a trust account for all newly born children. Each child would be giving $25,000 for college, and because around 4 million children are born every year, it would cost the government around $100 billion, which is only 2% of government spending as of now. Right now, there isn't a definite idea of what these reparations would entail, but besides baby bonds, some have suggested handing out checks, establishing more social programs for black communities, supporting black-owned businesses, and instead of baby bonds, maybe even free college tuition for black Americans. Cash payments or investments in housing, education, or business would be one way to address the wealth gap generated by discriminatory practices by the federal government such as redlining and Jim Crow laws. Free tuition could also allow more black people to attend college and get better paying jobs, which would be a small steps towards reducing the income inequality. The current median income of young Caucasians is almost 16 times that of young African Americans, $46,000 versus $2,900. A baby bond program could potentially raise median income for both groups and reduce the black-white wealth gap by more than 10 times, dramatically reducing these race-related inequalities. If H.R. 40 passes, the losers from a financial standpoint would be the state and federal government who have to pay for these reparations. The government would most likely pay for them by a fee, tax, or borrowing from government bonds. These reparations would increase the federal debt and growing deficit. The current national debt is about $27 trillion, and it is increasing rapidly due to COVID-related expenses. The government has also been losing a lot of money due to the poor economy, and some believe that now is not the time for more debt nor more taxes. These reparations would increase the federal debt and growing deficit. However, these reparations are undoubtedly justified due to the role that the U.S. government played in the promotion of slavery and institutionalized racism following abolition. Also, many black Americans continue to suffer from the consequences of slavery today. The winners would be millions of black Americans who can benefit from these reparations. Besides the benefit of reparations, H.R. 40 would also benefit America as it would mark a monumental movement in which America truly apologized for slavery and moves towards addressing the systemic racism that still exists in the country. Despite the financial strain that these reparations would put on the government, some believe that the long-term benefit of lifting black people out of poverty and improving their earning potential outweighs the current costs. Some agree, but believe that these reparations should not be paid amidst the coronavirus pandemic. If part of these reparations included a baby bond or free college tuition, that could potentially lead to a higher number of people who decide to attend college, inevitably leading to a higher educated workforce and an increase in demand for these workers by employers. This increase in demand would lead to higher wages and could possibly mitigate the wealth and income inequality in America. If reparations from H.R. 40 also included government subsidized job trainings, this would lead to an increase in the supply of workers. For example, if the government decided to offer subsidies for people in nursing school or law school, this would lead to an increase in the supply of people working in those respective areas. This is a good policy because it is a step towards dismantling the systemic racism against black people in America by providing appropriate remedies for the black community. It also initiates a national discussion on the ongoing consequences of slavery today, which some may deny the existence of. Reparations for black people should be thought of as a right and necessity towards addressing how policies throughout American history and today have continually hindered the success of many black people. It's so easy to deny the existence of institutionalized racism when you are not personally affected by it. Institutionalized racism in America is still very much prevalent, taking up many forms such as the mass incarceration rates of black people, police brutality, and the racial wealth inequality. H.R. 40 is a good policy because it also acts as a renewal of America to acknowledge and address the damage that has been done to members of the black community.